everybody. You know where you are. Expert Talk with me, Tigo. And today, did you pick a good day to watch my show? If you don't see any of the other ones, you want to see this one. Today, legend, just visionary, and an all-around cool dude. Larry Namer's in the house. What's happening, Larry?
I finally caved in and wrote a book, which is called Off Script, which just came out last week. So now I'm out doing book tour stuff and learning the whole business of self-publishing.
I hear it's like 4 times bestseller on Amazon already. Off Script, you got to tell us, what's it about?
The reason I decided to finally write it was I came up with a new angle for writing it. I'm a fanatic wannabe cook. So I've literally been cooking since I'm 12. I mean, that's my passion. I do good at television, but my passion is cooking. So I decided what I'll do is I'll take each of those different parts of my life, and I'll do the recipes that inspired me during that time. So it's a combination bio and cookbook.
If your passion is cooking, does that mean there's a Larry Namer cooking show coming?
I have a business in China, and it was kind of funny. I ended up actually having a cooking show on Beijing TV in Chinese. You got to hear the title. Translated, we would take it offensively here, but in China, it was The White Boy Cooks Chinese Food. It was fun doing it, and I finally stopped because it's just doing a cooking show is a lot of work. So the first episode is me going to the Asian market and shopping. The second one is me cooking Cantonese food. The third is me cooking Szechuan food. And the fourth episode, which is the last one I did, was me cooking classic American dishes using Chinese ingredients.
I follow you on social media, and I see you posting these dishes. Are you cooking the dishes you're showing on Facebook?
Yeah, actually 90% of the ones on Facebook I cook.
Your palate must be amazing if you can not only taste and enjoy those different cuisines, but also be able to make them.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. And I could go to a restaurant and eat something, and I go, that was really good, I'm going to try and do that. And when I do it at home, I'll get close the first time, but the second time I nail it. I could figure out the ingredients and how it was done, but for the most part, very rarely do I miss it.
So you cook by taste?
Yeah, I don't do recipe books or anything. I don't use that. It's all from what's in my head. I don't know many people who could do it, but I've been literally cooking since I'm 12 because my mother and father both worked. So my choice was learn how to cook or eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for dinner every night.
So what made you go from, okay, I'm very good as a chef, I'm going to do this for friends and family and myself, and go into television? What made you do that?
Well, I love cooking for friends and family and stuff. And when you cook for people you love, you cook different than when you're cooking people for profit.
So can you give me a sample of what's in the book, like a story that wraps around a recipe?
Sure. I'll tell you one that everybody is most fascinated with. A lot of people don't know it. One point, me and my partner from E! Channel, we were going to start a new TV network, and I had as partners Bruce and Chris Jenner, when Bruce was still Bruce, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and this other guy named O.J. Simpson. And he's gone now, so I could actually tell the story. But the way we ended up meeting O.J., my partner Alan would go out with the starlets and the Playboy girls, and he would do all of that, Hollywood stuff, which is great because then I didn't have to do it. But he went out with this actress, and when he goes to drop her off at home, she says, oh my God, we're being followed, drive away quick. So Alan drives around the block. She goes, look, it's this guy I go out with, and he's like very jealous and very dangerous. I'm going to get out, stand in front of the car, you drive away. Ends up, the boyfriend is OJ. So he goes around, he gets out of her who she was with. He goes around to all the good restaurants and the clubs going, I'm looking for this Alan guy, and when I catch him, I'm going to break his legs with a baseball bat.
Oh my goodness.
So the word gets back to Alan. Big brave Alan leaves his house, goes to a hotel, hires 2 security guards, and he calls me up and he tells me the story. And essentially I'm still a Brooklyn street kid. I've been beaten up enough times before. So I got the phone number, I call up and I go, listen, I understand, there's some misunderstanding. And he gets really nasty with me. He goes, who the F are you? I'm going to break your legs with a baseball bat. At that time, he was out of football, and he was the spokesperson for Hertz. Well, Frank Olson was the chairman of Hertz, and Frank is a devoutly religious guy. But Alan and I are friends with Frank's son, Blake. And so I go, listen, Frank Olson is, really religious. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, we both know Frank, right? And he all of a sudden, he calms way down. And he goes, how do you know Frank? Frank is going to have a really hard time that you want to break the legs of his son's friends because one of them went out with your mistress when he loves your wife, Nicole. Yep. Conversation changes entirely, and he says, this is all a big misunderstanding. We all should have lunch, and we'll talk this out, and it'll all be fine. So we go to lunch at a restaurant in Beverly Hills called La Scala, and we're sitting there, and when I'm writing the book, not only am I recalling the story, but I remember what I ate at the lunch.
Oh, wow.
So in the book is the La Scala salad that I had for the first time Alan and I ever sat down with OJ.
When do you have time for all this? You're still Larry Name.
Well, E is huge now. We're in 142 countries and
yeah,
arguably the biggest influence of pop culture in the world. But I just have this thing that every night at 6 o'clock, I just tune out the rest of the world. I go in the kitchen and cook. I go in the kitchen, I get lost. It's just a process of cutting and preparing and cooking and stuff. It just takes my mind off of, I could have the worst day in the world, but by the time I come out of the kitchen an hour later, I'm like, good.
When someone buys your book and they start reading and then they come across these recipes, are these recipes that, geeks like me that can make if we just set it up in the corner? Or is this something I'm going to need an instruction to have Larry come over and show me how to do?
No. I was actually very careful to put only recipes that I thought literally anybody could master. They're pretty simple stuff.
What's your favorite dish of all time?
The one that impresses people the most is I can cook Chinese food as good as any Chinese person on the planet.
What's next for Larry Namer?
Well, I've got a big company in China. We do TV, film, internet content. We do a lot of immersive. I'm very into new technology. I do a lot of stuff in AI there, and I'm doing a holographic. But one of the things we really started doing a few years ago is immersive entertainment. We don't create them, but we buy up all the rights. So we do Van Gogh and Klimt and 100 years of Disney animation.
Wow.
We do that, and then TV shows and films. We actually just booked Shrek, the musical. Which is fun. 16 weeks, 4 different cities, 4 weeks in each city in China.
Wow.
So we're doing that. I started doing stuff in the US again with COVID. So everything I'm doing here is kind of got, let's call it social impact component. So we did financial wellness for millennials. Then we did another one called conscious parenting, about trying to be a parent in today's very complex world. Do another one on cancel culture. People now in the post-COVID era, it's my opinion, and I really believe it's true, we're looking for positive stories.
Yeah.
We've been beaten up enough.
Yeah.
I want to go to bed with a smile.
Yeah.
I just got involved helping some friends of mine, all women, by the way, help them start with doing a podcast, which is called Stall Talk. It all started with, you go out to dinner with a few couples, and then one woman invariably says, I have to go to the restroom. And all the women get up and go. And the guys are sitting there going, where are they? So created Stall Talk, and I got women of 4 different generations, from boomers down to Gen Zs. And they'll talk either about just broad topics like relationships, or they'll talk about things in the news and stuff. But it's interesting because you get the perspective of women from different generations, but yet you understand there's this underlying love among the four of them.
Right.
You know, the one that really turned it around for me, it started out where everybody, you know, there was sex sells, so they would talk about, sex and whatever. But when we got to episode 3, we actually interviewed this great gal named Cheyenne Hunt, who was the first Gen Z woman to run for Congress in America.
Oh, wow.
She didn't win, but you watch one Gen Z person interviewing this Cheyenne, and you actually walked away from it going, you know what, maybe there is hope for us as a human race. So we've kind of moved it into that era of going, these are smart gals, we're not going to play the silly, goofy stuff. So the episodes have gotten really smart.
That's cool. That's cool. You know, you are like Superman or Batman. You come into a room, people don't know who you are. No. You'll go sit in the back, sit in the corner. They'll hear that you're in the room. Larry Namer, founder of eTelevision Network. Where? Who? How? Right. And then never fails, somebody introduces you and asks you to come up on the stage. And everybody goes, oh my gosh, I was sitting next to him. Oh, he's such a nice guy. Why do you like to just kind of sit in the back and absorb the room?
Well, it goes back to upbringing and stuff. My parents were very humble. And they kind of, no, I should say, beat that into, you know, the kids.
Sounds like my parents, okay.
You know, and I just, especially my look at Hollywood, people don't realize that E is the first, they think E is this monstrous company, and now, it's a monster, but it's still the only company ever started by a person as opposed to a company. Like every other network that's out there is started by a media company,
right.
Fox or Time Warner or whatever. It's still the only one ever started by a person, and arguably it's the biggest influence of pop culture in the world now. I mean, you think we started Howard Stern and the Kardashians and, you know, all of that stuff. But to me, I look at it and go, okay, I figured out that people around the world love Hollywood celebrities and Hollywood gossip. I'm going, okay, that's not like rocket science. Alan and I executed it really well, obviously. But a lot of it was because we had no money. I mean, E, while it's now up, I don't know, $7-8 billion, we started with $2.5 million, which at the time we started, the going rate to start a TV network was around 100, but we could only raise 2.5. And so that was, you know, that saying like necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes,
like absolutely. With no money, we had to be really smart with what we had. And you know, that led to shows like Talk Soup and Hollywood True Stories and Wild on E and Howard Stern. And
wow. You're really one of the founding voices of what's become streaming television now.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to be a little bit distant and not have a lot of money, because you really you have to pay attention a lot more. Hollywood was the center of the entertainment world because it was very expensive to make visual entertainment. You needed big sound stages. You needed cameras that were $250,000 a camera. I mean, there was a lot of stuff. So you could be anywhere in the world. If you wanted to make television or film, you had to come to Hollywood.
Right.
But then as technology changed that, I mean, I could take my iPhone today and I could fly to Nigeria tomorrow and make a movie on my iPhone. So we really started to pay attention. We said, you know what, Hollywood is not a geographic place anymore.
Right.
It's really a measure of quality, it's a measure of creativity, but it's not a geographic place. You can make stuff anywhere. And we were probably the first one to recognize that. I mean, like I say, it's in 142 countries, which is just great, because we focused on that.
What's next for television, you think?
Well, I think, you know, it's not this or that. It's really all. I mean, we've been great believers, and me in particular, is that people want to watch what they want to watch, when they want to watch it. So when you're designing media entertainment, you're designing visual entertainment, you need to recognize that people are going to consume it in different ways. I jumped into the world of podcasting, and I love podcasting because even now, if you do television, you do cable, in order to make it economically viable, you need you need to take a subject and deal with it in a certain way that can get you enough people to get the advertisers to pay to cover the cost. And you're still in a few $100,000 range to create good TV series.
Right.
But with podcasting, I could really now super serve communities of interest because podcasting is very inexpensive.
Yeah.
And stuff. So when we did Stall Talk, I said, you know what, I can't do that, camera in my bedroom and a lamp stuff. So we actually do it in the studio. We shoot 4-camera, 4K, had an audio guy do the audio, and a lighting guy do that. And it's different. And people watch it and they go, it looks like television. I'm going, yeah, because, yeah. And for me, when I go into the networks and stuff and pitch, and they go, Larry, why are you doing that? And they go, women under 40 don't watch television. And I'm going, did you ever think it's maybe because you don't put anything on that women under 40 might want to watch? And they just look at me.
What's one thing that you've always wanted to do that you say, okay, maybe next year, maybe next time?
Well, the thing that I'm the worst at is dramatic feature films.
Okay.
I'm horrible at that. I can't do it. And now when it comes to me and I like the subject matter, I go and bring it to a friend who's good at that. I mean, I'm just not good at feature films. What I am good at is television, and the reason is I'll find something and I'll do it and I'll get it 80% right. But then I'm dumb enough and determined enough, I'll do it 81%, I'll do it 82%. I'll just gradually, and I'll eventually get there. Most people will quit before they get there, but I'll stick it out until I get there. So I'm good at fine-tuning. But with film, you spend 4 years making a movie. It opens up on the weekend, and if the audience didn't like it by Sunday night, it's gone forever.
It's gone
and that's just not me. I don't do that well.
I want to thank you, one, for coming in the studio with us today, but also for being our first, visionary for Trailblazers. I cannot wait to stand on that stage in March and present you with our winged trophy.
There you go.
As a visionary, because you truly are. Can you tell them how to get in touch with you if they want to see your shows, buy your book, do any of that? But two, can you give the creative people out there that are holding themselves back and saying, oh, it has never been done before, who says I can do it? Can you tell them some little tips?
Well, I'm a good example of, I'm the boy least likely to succeed. Straight C student, I didn't grow up in wanting to be in television and stuff, but I made myself learn and stuff. But I also realized, and I think what separates me from other people who are creators, I consider myself a creative, is we all have the same common needs in life. We need to eat, we need to feed our kid, we need to educate our kid, we need to pay the rent. So even if you got this great idea and you're so passionate about it, if you can't figure out how you can make it financially sustainable, you're wasting your time. And we all have this finite time on the planet.
Yeah. And
it's the most valuable thing. So put your ego aside, evaluate the things you're looking at and go, you know what, sounded like a good idea, but I can't go without eating for X amount of time. Get rid of it and then pick something you're good at and then just work it until you become great at it and it will become your passion.
You're amazing, sir. Can you please tell them how they can find your book?
Sure. The book is called Off Script. You get it on Amazon. You get it either in Kindle or in softcover. And Off Script by Larry J. Namer. And you get it there. I'm a good Google. I'm a fun Google. So you can find LJN Media, which is my U.S. company. The Chinese company's in Mandarin, so probably not something you're going to find. But I'm pretty easy to find. If you email me, I answer every single email myself. Every single one.
He does.
If you try and call me on the telephone, I will never answer the telephone.
He doesn't. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for allowing us to honor you in just a little over a month. I am a super fan. You already know that, and I totally respect you. You are the best. Thank you so much. If you didn't write all that down, go to Tigo Direct, type in Larry, type in E-Television Network, type in off script. He'll come up, send him a private message, and he just said, if he gets an email, he'll respond to it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I want you to come back next time. And as always, I'm Tigo. I'll talk to you next time. Have a great day.